Africa is young. It is a continent brimming with youthful energy. The majority of its population is under the age of 25. Imagine a place buzzing with new ideas, with fresh perspectives, with an undeniable dynamism. This is the Africa of today. It is a continent where young people are not just a statistic, but a defining characteristic. Their numbers are large and continue to grow. This incredible youthfulness is a significant gift, a profound strength. It holds the promise of a vibrant future, a future that these young individuals are eager to shape and build with their own hands. This remarkable gift is often called the demographic dividend. It sounds like an economic term, and it is. But it is also much more. It means there is a vast pool of young people ready and able to work. They can build industries, they can innovate, they can create art and music, they can drive economic growth in ways previously unimagined. This potential exists, waiting to be unlocked. If they are given the chance, if they are equipped with the necessary tools and skills, the impact could be transformative. This potential is truly enormous. It has the power to change the entire continent for the better, ushering in an era of prosperity. Consider this. In the year 2020, Africa was home to 1 billion people under the age of 35. This staggering number represented more than 22% of the world's entire youth population. Let that sink in for a moment. Think about the immense power that such a collective represents. Think about the collective voice that can emerge from such a group. The median age across the African continent is a mere 18.8 years. This youth is not simply a number on a chart. It is a living, breathing force. It is a force for positive change, a force for development, a force for good in the world. However, potential, no matter how vast, needs careful nurturing. It needs consistent and thoughtful investment. Education is absolutely key. It is the foundation upon which futures are built. Acquiring relevant skills is critically important in today's rapidly changing world. And of course, access to meaningful job opportunities is essential for young people to apply their knowledge and energy. Without these fundamental supports, the demographic dividend risks being lost. The vibrant energy of youth can unfortunately curdle into frustration and disillusionment if pathways are blocked. Therefore, the task ahead is abundantly clear. African nations, societies, and leaders must prioritize investing in their young people. Their collective future is inextricably linked to Africa's future. The young people of Africa are not passive observers. They are not silent in the face of injustice or inaction. They possess strong, resonant voices, and they are increasingly unafraid to use them. For many years, they have been speaking up, articulating their desires and demanding tangible change. They are calling for a better future, a future they can believe in, a future they can help create. Their activism is like a powerful, flowing river. This river of change carves its way through the diverse landscapes of the continent. Sometimes it flows as a gentle, persistent stream, subtly shifting perspectives. At other times, it becomes a roaring flood, impossible to ignore. Think back to the year 2011. The events of the Arab Spring reverberated across the globe, shaking established orders. Young people were undeniably at the very heart of these transformative movements. They skillfully utilized the emerging tools of social media to connect, to organize, and to mobilize. They gathered in public squares, they marched through city streets, their voices united in common purpose. They bravely faced down entrenched and powerful regimes, often at great personal risk. Their demands were clear. They wanted freedom from oppression, they wanted dignity as human beings, and they wanted opportunities to build meaningful lives. Their unyielding spirit served as an inspiration to many across Africa and beyond. That remarkable spirit of defiance and hope did not simply fade away after the Arab Spring. It continued to burn brightly, igniting new movements and sustaining ongoing struggles. In Sudan, for example, young activists played an absolutely central role in the popular uprising. Their courage and persistence were instrumental in helping to topple a long-standing ruler. They carried with them dreams of a new Sudan, a nation built on justice and inclusivity. Similarly, in Senegal, dynamic youth movements such as Y'en a marre, We're Fed Up, rose to prominence. They passionately demanded good governance from their leaders. They tirelessly fought against the pervasive issue of corruption. They insisted that their leaders listen to the people and be accountable for their actions. These various movements, separated by geography but united by purpose, are not merely isolated incidents. They are deeply connected. They are part of a larger narrative, a continuous thread of youthful determination woven through the fabric of contemporary Africa. There is a palpable belief in the possibility of a better Africa, an Africa that lives up to its immense potential. The youth are visibly tired of the old ways of doing things, of systems that seem to perpetuate inequality and stagnation. They see the problems around them with clear eyes. They feel the sting of injustices keenly, and crucially, they are demonstrating that they are not afraid to take action. Their collective energy is actively reshaping the political landscape of the continent. Let us fast forward our attention to more recent times, specifically to June of 2024 in Kenya. The government there introduced a new finance bill. This proposed legislation included a wide array of new taxes. Many people, especially the youth, described these taxes as punitive, feeling they would unfairly burden ordinary citizens. Young Kenyans in particular felt the looming weight of these potential financial impositions. They saw their already precarious futures potentially threatened by these measures. They collectively decided that they could not remain silent. They chose to act. Their response was impressively swift, and it was undeniably powerful, catching many by surprise. What began as a protest against a specific piece of legislation soon evolved into something much larger. It grew into a broad-based movement. It became a powerful public statement against deep-seated corruption. It transformed into a widespread call for better, more responsive governance. Young people, many of whom identify with Gen Z, were visibly at the forefront of these demonstrations. They expertly utilized social media platforms like TikTok and X, formerly Twitter, to organize their efforts. They coordinated protests, shared information rapidly, and mobilized their peers. They showed up in significant numbers, their presence felt across major urban centers. Their creativity and digital savvy were on full display for all to see. The protests were characterized by their peaceful nature, yet despite their nonviolence, the demonstrators were absolutely firm in their convictions and their demands. They managed to make their collective voice impossible for the authorities and the wider public to ignore. They demonstrated a surprisingly deep understanding of the complex economic and political issues at stake. They articulated their demands with clarity and precision. They served a potent reminder to the leaders of the country about whom they are meant to serve, the people. The government appeared to be taken aback by the scale and intensity of the youth response. The entire country watched these events unfold. Indeed, the world watched too. This was a clear demonstration of youth power in decisive action. Interestingly, former President Uhuru Kenyatta publicly praised these young Kenyan protesters. He acknowledged their remarkable courage. He recognized their unwavering commitment to their cause and their country. He seemed to understand the deep-seated frustration that fueled their actions. These protests in Kenya signaled a new, heightened level of civic engagement among the youth. They revealed a generation that is unafraid to challenge the status quo. They showed a generation that is ready and willing to take an active role in shaping its own destiny. The youth of Kenya had truly and inspiringly awakened to their collective strength and responsibility. The vibrant spirit of youth activism is not confined to one nation. It echoes and resonates across the diverse tapestry of the African continent. Let us turn our gaze to Gambia. In July of 2024, protests also erupted in this West African nation. The people there were expressing their anger and frustration over recently implemented tax policies. They felt that these policies disproportionately favored the wealthy and the well-connected elites. They demanded greater economic fairness and equity. They called for significant reforms to the economic system. They voiced their desire for a system that would work for the benefit of all Gambians, not just a privileged few at the top. Young Gambians were highly visible and vocal participants in these important protests. They keenly felt the painful sting of economic hardship in their daily lives. They saw the glaring inequalities that persisted within their society. They courageously used their voices to call for meaningful and lasting change. Their actions demonstrated a growing sense of impatience among the youth. It was an impatience with systems that seemed inherently unjust and unresponsive to their needs. It was an impatience with leaders who, in their view, did not adequately listen to or address the concerns of the populace. This narrative of youthful demand for accountability is becoming an increasingly common story across many parts of the continent. Now, let us consider the situation in Zimbabwe. This is a country currently facing a multitude of severe challenges. Economic hardship is widespread and deeply felt by ordinary citizens. Political repression casts a long shadow, creating a climate of fear for those who dare to speak out. In October of 2024, a prominent and courageous youth activist was arrested. His name was Tawanda Moyo. He was only 28 years old at the time of his detention. He was arrested during a large protest that had gathered in Harare. This protest was a demonstration against the incredibly difficult economic conditions and the prevailing political climate in the country. Authorities in Zimbabwe accused Tawanda Moyo of inciting violence, a common charge leveled against activists. His arrest immediately sparked widespread outrage, both within Zimbabwe and internationally. Many people and human rights organizations called for his immediate and unconditional release. His troubling situation served to highlight the very real dangers that activists, particularly young activists, continue to face in many places. They often risk their personal freedom. In some tragic cases, they even risk their lives. Yet despite these immense risks and pressures, they persist in their struggle. Their courage is truly remarkable. Their ongoing fight is fundamentally for a better, more just, and more democratic Zimbabwe for all its citizens. Section 5. The weight of challenges. Hurdles on the path to progress. The young people of Africa are undeniably full of immense potential and boundless energy. However, they also face a formidable array of challenges. These challenges act like heavy weights, constantly pressing down on their aspirations. They slow down individual and collective progress. They often breed deep frustration and a sense of hopelessness among the youth. Widespread unemployment stands out as a particularly major and persistent problem. Millions upon millions of young, capable individuals across the continent cannot find stable and meaningful jobs. Official figures state that 16 million youth are unemployed, but the reality is likely even starker. Many more are underemployed, working in jobs that do not utilize their skills or provide a living wage. This is nothing short of a continental crisis. Even for those young people who do manage to find some form of employment, the struggle often continues. A significant portion of youth employment in Africa is in the informal sector. This typically means there is no job security, no benefits like health insurance or pensions, and no clear path for career advancement. In a country like Kenya, for instance, the youth unemployment rate is shockingly high. An estimated 67% of young people between the ages of 15 and 34 are jobless. This is despite the fact that this very demographic group comprises a substantial 35% of the total population. This situation represents a tragic waste of human talent and potential on a massive scale. Poverty is another incredibly heavy burden that weighs down millions of young Africans. Current estimates suggest that over 80 million young people across the continent are living in conditions of extreme poverty. This figure accounts for more than 75% of all young people globally who find themselves in such dire circumstances. Imagine the daily struggle of trying to build a future, to dream, to aspire, when one's basic needs are unmet. Access to adequate and affordable housing is also a critical issue, particularly in rapidly urbanizing areas. Cities are growing at an unprecedented pace, but the supply of decent housing is failing to keep up. As a result, many young people and their families are forced to live in overcrowded informal settlements, often lacking basic services like clean water and sanitation. Consequently, and quite understandably, because of these persistent and multifaceted struggles, many young people across Africa are deeply unhappy. They are profoundly dissatisfied with the level of support they receive from their governments. They often feel ignored, neglected, and unsupported by those in power. Surveys indicate that as many as 60% of Africans feel this way about their government's efforts concerning youth issues. Nigeria's powerful #EndSARS movement, which saw youth protesting against police brutality and demanding broader governance reforms, clearly demonstrated this widespread frustration. Young people are tired of unfulfilled promises and political rhetoric. They want real, tangible solutions. They yearn for a life of dignity, opportunity, and security. These challenges are not abstract. They are real, they are urgent, and they demand immediate attention. Section 6. The Lioness's Roar, Women Leading the Charge. In these widespread and diverse movements for social and political change across Africa, women are very often at the forefront, leading with courage and conviction. Young women in particular are displaying incredible bravery and resilience. They are like lionesses, Their collective roar powerful and impossible to ignore. They are fighting passionately for a multitude of crucial causes. They are advocating for comprehensive political reform. They are championing the cause of gender equality, demanding equal rights and opportunities. They are working tirelessly to build a better, more just society for everyone, not just for themselves. Their contribution to these struggles is immense, invaluable, and absolutely vital for any meaningful progress to be achieved. Statistics and observations reveal that women are often more likely than men to participate in protests and activism. This is particularly true when the issues at stake directly affect them and their communities. Issues such as pervasive gender-based violence or the systemic lack of economic opportunities for women galvanize them into action. During the 2019 uprising in Sudan, for instance, women were a ubiquitous and inspiring presence. Ala Salah, a young woman dressed in a traditional white tube, became a powerful and enduring symbol of the revolution, her image captured speaking to crowds from atop a car. Reports from that period suggested that women remarkably made up as much as 70% of the protest leaders, demonstrating their critical role. This phenomenon of women leading change is not unique to Sudan. Across the continent, similar stories unfold. In Senegal, dedicated female activists within the influential Y'en a Marre movement have consistently pushed for the advancement of women's rights. They have fought tenaciously for their voices to be heard and for their concerns to be addressed in the political sphere. In South Africa, women have courageously led powerful and sustained protests. They have mobilized against the terrible scourge of gender-based violence which plagues their society. They have also been at the forefront of activism against climate change, recognizing it as an existential threat to all communities. Their leadership in these diverse areas is consistently inspiring and impactful. In Gambia, dedicated women's groups achieved a monumental and hard-fought victory. Courageous activists, such as the renowned Jaha Dukure, campaigned tirelessly and strategically for years. Their persistent advocacy and awareness-raising efforts successfully led to the landmark banning of female genital mutilation in the country. This incredible achievement clearly demonstrates the profound impact that women can have when they organize collectively. It shows what happens when they lead with vision and determination. Their courage literally changes laws and saves lives. Their activism profoundly changes societal norms and improves lives for generations to come. They are truly indispensable to Africa's ongoing journey towards progress and justice. On Section 7, a call to action, echoes from leaders and activists. The vibrant energy and unwavering determination of Africa's youth are becoming increasingly undeniable. This is a force that can no longer be ignored or downplayed. Even former leaders from across the continent are now taking notice and, in some cases, publicly speaking out in support of youth engagement. Uhuru Kenyatta, the former president of Kenya, is a notable example of this trend. He has recently and quite publicly called for what he termed a youth-led revolution in Africa. He has passionately urged young people across the continent to remain actively involved in civic life. He has encouraged them to continue fighting for their fundamental rights. He has emphasized the importance of their participation in shaping their own governance structures. Former President Kenyatta delivered these significant calls to action at various important public gatherings, ensuring his message reached a wide audience. He spoke at the prestigious Guild Leaders Summit held at Makerere University in Kampala in early 2025. He reiterated similar sentiments after a meeting with Kenya's current president, William Ruto, in January 2025. Furthermore, he had previously praised the young people of Kenya in June 2024 for their spirited and impactful protests against the contentious finance bill. He clearly saw and acknowledged their power. He openly encouraged their indomitable spirit. Unsurprisingly, his words resonated deeply with many young people who felt validated and seen by a prominent elder statesman. Some young activists, such as George Mwangi in Kenya, interpreted Uhuru Kenyatta's remarks as a powerful and direct call to action. They saw it as a significant validation of their ongoing efforts and sacrifices. Others, like David Fundy, expressed a belief that his vocal support could potentially be helpful in practical terms. Perhaps, they mused, it could even help pave the way for younger, more representative leadership to emerge in future elections, such as Kenya's anticipated 2027 polls. The voice of a former president inevitably adds considerable weight to the youth cause. It serves to encourage them to maintain their momentum and to keep pushing for the changes they seek for their societies. However, it is important to note that not everyone welcomed Uhuru Kenyatta's pronouncements with enthusiasm. Some pro-government politicians and commentators in Kenya, for instance, accused him of attempting to incite unrest and of demonstrating hypocrisy, given his own past tenure. Political analyst Herman Manyora suggested that these exchanges might indicate underlying political tensions and a shaky truce between different factions. There were even concerns voiced that Uhuru might be looking to mobilize Gen Z protests for political ends. Regardless of the complex political undercurrents and interpretations, the core message remains undeniably clear. Youth activism in Africa is a potent force to be reckoned with, and it is steadily gaining more attention and recognition, both at home and abroad. Section 8. Building Bridges, Empowering the Next Generation. So, the crucial question arises, what must be done? How can the African continent truly and effectively empower its vast and energetic youth population? The journey begins with a fundamental step: listening. It means genuinely listening to their diverse concerns, their innovative ideas, and their unique perspectives. Then, listening must be followed by decisive action. Concrete, tangible steps are required to address the challenges they face and to harness their potential. Governments, civil society organizations, and international donors all have a significant and shared role to play in this endeavor. They must work collaboratively to create supportive frameworks for youth success. They must commit to providing the necessary resources to turn aspirations into realities. Job creation stands out as an issue of paramount and urgent importance. Young people across Africa desperately need access to meaningful and sustainable opportunities. This means not just any jobs, but decent jobs that offer fair wages, security, and dignity. Supporting self-employment and fostering a spirit of entrepreneurship should be high on the agenda. There should be a particular focus on equipping youth with modern, relevant skills. Digital skills are absolutely crucial in today's increasingly technology-driven world. Furthermore, modernizing the agricultural sector also offers immense potential for employment and innovation. Strategic investment in these key areas can unlock so much latent talent and drive economic growth from the grassroots up. Education, of course, remains the bedrock, the fundamental foundation upon which all other efforts must be built. This means ensuring access to quality education for all children and youth, from early childhood through to higher education and vocational training. Skills training must also be relevant to the demands of the current and future job market. Young women and girls especially must be specifically and intentionally empowered. This can be achieved through targeted leadership training programs. It requires creating safe and supportive spaces for their activism and participation. It also necessitates implementing and enforcing policies that actively uphold their rights. Addressing the scourge of gender-based violence is critical, as is ensuring equal access to education and promoting their full participation in the workforce. Political participation is also a key pillar of youth empowerment. Young people must be meaningfully involved in the processes of policymaking. Their voices, perspectives, and experiences must be heard and considered in the halls of power, where decisions that affect their lives are made. Governments can take proactive steps, such as creating youth advisory councils or quotas for youth representation in political bodies. More broadly, fostering a culture of civic engagement from a young age is important. This can be achieved through comprehensive educational initiatives that teach young citizens about their rights, the importance of voting, and the various ways they can engage politically and contribute to their communities. These are the essential bridges to building a better, more inclusive future for all. Section 9. The Unfolding Dawn. Investing in Africa's Future. Africa currently stands at a truly pivotal and exciting moment in its history. Its single greatest asset, without a doubt, is its youth. Their boundless energy, their remarkable creativity, and their unwavering determination are forces that can reshape the continent. They constitute a formidable and increasingly organized force for positive change. We have witnessed their collective power in action. We have seen it on the streets during protests. We have seen it amplified online through digital activism. We have seen it making a difference in their local communities through grassroots initiatives. They are not merely the leaders of tomorrow waiting in the wings. They are, in fact, leaders today, actively shaping the present. Investing in Africa's youth is therefore not just a good idea or a charitable endeavor. It is an absolute essential. It is utterly crucial for the long-term prosperity and stability of the entire continent. Addressing the crisis of youth unemployment is a vital first step. Improving their living conditions, including access to housing, healthcare, and education, is a fundamental must. Responding meaningfully to their persistent calls for better government support and more accountable governance is absolutely necessary. Taking these steps will help to unlock their vast, largely untapped potential. It will, in turn, empower them to transform their societies from within, building a more equitable and prosperous Africa for all its citizens. The young people of Africa, and particularly its dynamic young women, find their voices significantly amplified by the reach and speed of social media. Their messages can travel far and wide in an instant. Their movements for change can gather momentum with astonishing rapidity. Their continued and deepened engagement in civic and political life is therefore essential. It is essential for achieving meaningful systemic reforms. It is essential for fostering improved governance structures that are transparent and responsive. It is essential for building a more just, equitable, and prosperous Africa that can take its rightful place on the global stage. They are, in many ways, the primary architects of this new and unfolding dawn. The path ahead is certainly not an easy one. There are many daunting challenges that remain to be overcome. Obstacles, both old and new, will undoubtedly arise. But the inherent spirit of African youth is remarkably resilient. It is a spirit characterized by enduring hope, even in the face of adversity. It is a spirit that is undeniably powerful and increasingly assertive. By actively supporting them, by genuinely empowering them, by truly believing in their capabilities and their vision, Africa can help to ensure a much brighter and more promising future. This will be a future shaped by its most dynamic and innovative citizens. The dawn is indeed unfolding across the continent, and its ultimate shape and promise rest firmly in their capable hands.